the Deadmines, the first dungeon we attempted and the first one we're going to try to complete today. And that means we can finally empty our bags. They will probably be full again by the end of the video though, so enjoy what you can. But with that out of the way, let's get back to it and let's finish business here. Roll that intro. In World of Warcraft, most heroes gain XP by doing quests, gathering for professions, or killing monsters. But not this one. Meet Dunstuck, a hero who's taking on Azeroth one dungeon at a time. He'll spend his entire journey locked to solo dungeons and the gear he can find inside them. And his ultimate goal, completing every single dungeon in the game. This is Dungeonlocked. So, before we really get into the Deadmines, let's talk about two things I received a lot of questions about. That being clearing my bag and why I'm not running professions. I think I may not have been super clear in the initial video, but when I mean locked to dungeons, I'm locked to dungeons. So that means the only way I can efficiently clear my bag is with merchants in dungeons. And the only one we've seen so far is the Quartermaster in the Deadmines. And that means I can only get professions the same way. But I have a plan in the future for a way to get one profession that should be able to help us out a lot. The Trash for Glubchuck was noticeably easier than before, and took way less time. And while doing so, we dinged 12. So, at this level, we used our newly unlocked talent point on Hammer of Wrath. This ability hurls a Hammer of Light at the target and does a really good amount of damage. The kicker is that we can only use it when the target is below 20% health. So it'll come in handy in boss fights where they spend a lot of time below 20% and in finishing off powerful enemies quickly. So, now on to our old friend Glubchuck. He was much easier now with the upgraded gear and levels, so we rebeat him quick with little issue. Wow, that was so much easier than before, oh my goodness. With that done, we have an old score to settle with these two oath guards. Time to see if all the gear made the difference. Well, let's hope we don't get absolutely violated like we did before. Okay, well, glad we didn't die 3 times like last time. And yeah, these goons are no problem now. Just beat them down and we're finally on to our next part of the Deadmines and our first new boss. Helix Gearbreaker. This little guy is a mercenary hired to help the Brotherhood. And he's actually pretty special. He's our first boss with 2 distinct phases. The first phase is when he's on the oaf's back, and he's got 3 abilities in this phase. The first is Sticky Bomb, where he throws bombs all over the ground that explode if you touch them or on their own after 18 seconds. The next is Oaf Smash, where you get picked up and ran into a wall, dealing a good chunk of damage. Then there's Throw Helix, where Helix latches onto your face and starts meleeing you down. Then, phase 2 triggers when the oaf dies. Then you fight Helix one-on-one, and during this phase he loses the oaf and oaf charge ability, but he starts casting sticky bombs way more often. Loot-wise, all 3 jobs from Helix would be great. He has a one-handed sword, a shield, and a pair of gauntlets that would all be nice upgrades for us. So, let's give him a shot. That does no damage. That's so much effort, 0 damage from it. Oh my god. Oh, he's back on my head. Oh no. Just the Galbo to go. Makes him easy to hit when he's on my head, so that's nice. And there we go. No loot, but that's 2 bosses down. So this fight was pretty simple. Just avoid the floor bombs and we can pretty much just face tank the other damage. The wall slam and throw helix both really didn't do a ton also. And the fight becomes noticeably easier once the oaf dies and it's just helix. He just sticks to our face and we beat him down. No loot from him, but it is what it is. So I started clearing the ads just past helix, and we did actually get a pretty neat drop. Oh. Those are blue. They're cloth, but same armor, more stamina. Yeah. 100%. Crazy. So the pants are cloth, but the stats are pretty good, so I ended up equipping them. And with those pants, it sadly brings an end to Dunstuck's short shorts era. I continued clearing ads until we entered the Foundry, where we clear up some golems to power up our next boss. He springs to life, ready to fight us.
We provide those online. All systems
So, this spruced up piece of farm equipment is the Faux Reaper 5000. And he's got 4 main mechanics. First up is Reaper Strike, where he strikes all targets within a cone in front of him. This replaces his standard melee attack, but this makes little difference as we're the only person that's going to be getting hit anyway. Next up is Overdrive, where he fires up the engines and starts wildly running around the room, attacking any enemies he gets near. Then there's Harvest, where he targets a random player, us, and charges towards them, knocking you back and dealing damage if he hits you. Then finally there's Safety Restrictions Offline. This is a scary one. Once he drops with 30% health, he increases his physical damage, not by 10%, not by 20, not even by 50, by 100% for the remainder of the fight. So once this activates, getting hit by attacks like Overdrive or Harvest become big no-nos. His drops are honestly all pretty good. We have a pair of shoulders which would be nice, a one-handed sword, and a two-handed mace. I would take any of these. But I think regardless of drops, this one's going to be pretty interesting, so let's give him a shot. So this was a pretty fun fight, honestly. It feels like movement and positioning really matter in this one. His standard attack does not do a lot of damage, but if you're caught up in his overdrive, the damage can come fast. So it's better to just take your time slow and avoid him whenever he uses this. This is especially the case during his 100% damage boost. But I just took my time, kept my distance, and whittled him down slowly, and this fight is one of the easiest we've done. And we even got some shoulder upgrades, which was pretty nice. Pretty fancy looking. This is definitely up there, a contender for the worst outfit of all time. Like it's pretty horrendous. So with the Faux Reaper dead, I started clearing through the trash ahead. Oh, I just realized these guys have like the old defias human model. I was thinking this thing looks super janky. I love seeing it in game. I did think this one section by this cannon was actually going to be way harder than it was, but we cleared it up pretty easily. And once we're past them, we reach the Cove, where the Defias house the Juggernaut, a massive warship they plan to use to destroy Stormwind. But first things first, rest in peace Mr. Smite. They may have removed you from the game, but they can't remove you from my heart. Besides from a little bit of pirate flair, the ads on the ship are basically the same as the rest of the Deadmines, so not much of a challenge here. Ooh, cape upgrade. Ooh, 2 less strength. It's fine. Matches our boots. Whoa. That's a pretty big weapon upgrade. What are the odds of that thing dropping? So, with a sword upgrade in hand, we finally reach the top of the ship and find its captain. So, the big dog captaining the ship is Admiral Ripsnarl. Get it? Big dog, because he's a dog. But anyways, this guy's first ability is Thirst for Blood. This ability makes it so whenever he lands a melee attack, he gains 10% attack speed, 5% movement speed, and 5% size, and this can stack up to 20 times. So hypothetically, he could get up to 200% attack speed, 100% movement speed, and grow 100 times the size. So the next major mechanic in this fight is the Fog. At 75, 50, and 25% health, the Fog will roll in. During this, Ripsnarl is untargetable and lunges out at you, stunning you for 2 seconds and then starts meleeing you again as normal. He also spawns ads during this fight called the Vapor. Drops wise, he's another boss with only good drops. Either of his weapons would be great to get, and another ring drop is always welcome. Well, this fight sounds like it's going to be a doozy, so let's go for it. Okay, let's give it a shot. Okay, this seems to be going pretty well. Non-elite ads aren't really an issue. Now, I was way more worried about Bloodthirst than I needed to be. See, he does stack it up pretty quick, but when he goes into the fog, he's actually hidden long enough to let the effect fully reset, letting us set him back to the beginning of stacking it. So this fight's essentially a DPS check. Can we do a quarter of his health before he stacks too fast to deal with? And honestly, yeah, with Prop Pally we have enough defense to get through each fog section with HP to spare. So we just keep DPSing, and this one's all ours. Rip Snarl done, baby! But it turns out he wasn't the real captain of the ship, and the real one had been watching us this whole time. Meet Captain Cookie of the Brotherhood, according to himself only. He's really just the chef, and he throws food at you. Rotten food radiates damage around it, and fresh food which can be eaten. This increases attack speed and spellcasting speed by 20% for 30 seconds, and this effect can stack. The rotten food can actually also be eaten, but this just makes you take damage over time. Drops wise, I would take either of his one-handed weapon drops, preferably the one that looks like a rolling pin for the swag factor, but his cape would also be a good upgrade for us. This one should be pretty easy, so let's get him. Cookie is pretty easy. He's essentially a gimmick fight. He just kinda sits in the pod and throws food at you, and he doesn't really do that much damage. I think he's really only here to make you go, oh my god, it's a Murloc in a pod and he's a pirate. So we just eat the good food, stack the buff, and just give him the old-fashioned Dunstuck beatdown. That is a... what is this dancing Murloc? What is this? Well, that is a good night on Cookie and a good night on the Deadmines as a whole. A little late for this quest, I don't really need it anymore. And with that, we claim our revenge over the Deadmines. After clearing this, it really makes me think, even if we could have gotten past those oaths from the first episode, we probably could not have cleared the rest of the dungeon. And I've also just realized this is the second dungeon in a row now where we've had a Murloc final boss. But with the defias now defeated, Dunstuck turns to a threat from the north. Gnomeregan, the home of the gnomes. Or it used to be before all the toxic gas and trogs. But believe me, it was once a shining beacon of gnomish engineering. Where robotic inventions thrived, people were happy, and maybe nobody got lost navigating this maze of a city. But this was all ruined when the trogs invaded, and a gnome named Silco Thermoplug betrayed the High Tinkerer and released toxic gas into the city to kill the trogs. The gnomes were forced to flee Gnomeregan, and now the few gnomes that remain are sickly and deformed and fiercely loyal to the self-proclaimed king of the gnomes, Thermoplug. So we find ourselves joining the gnomish strike force to eliminate the self-proclaimed king and restore Gnomeregan to the rightful gnomes. So we enter Gnomeregan for the first time, we meet with the gnome strike force, and we begin clearing trash on our way to the first boss. Before we can fight the first boss, we have to help defend Blastmaster Emmy. We defend her from waves of trogs that appear from these tunnels. This was pretty simple, as most enemies aren't even elites, so we continue doing this for a little bit until the boss comes out to fight us. This is Grubbus. When other trogs died to the gas, Grubbus absorbed it and grew stronger and stronger. This intro makes him sound stronger than he is. It's a very simple fight. He has no abilities, just a standard auto attack. And he also has a best friend named Chomper, but he's just a crocodile, he doesn't really do much. Drops wise, he does have a pretty nice set of plate gloves, which we're still looking for. So hopefully he gives us those. But this should be a pretty straightforward tank and spank. Yeah, this is kind of a joke. He doesn't really have any abilities. Grubbus is essentially just a standard enemy with boss level buildup. It was a pretty straightforward fight. I just kinda stood there, DPS'd him down, and healed when needed. No loot from him, but we did level up. And with this level, we used our talent point to upgrade Crusader Strike into Hammer of the Righteous. This makes it when sending in our concentration, our attack does AoE damage in front of us. So this makes clearing out groups of mobs way easier for us. So next we made our way backwards and did this sick action movie jump off this ledge with a parachute and locked eyes with our next boss. So, Viscous Fallout is a water elemental who absorbed the toxic gas and became corrupted, and he's the next one up. And at least he has one ability unlike Grubbus, Toxic Volley, which does some initial damage then poisons us over time. Drops wise, he's got a pair of plate boots that would be pretty cool to get, but pretty straightforward like the last one, so let's get this guy. So this boss is pretty simple. Since Toxic Volley is an instant cast, we can't line of sight it, so we just treat this guy like Grubbus and face tank him the whole fight. The poison definitely did decent damage to us, but nothing we couldn't out heal. Let's go. Oh my gosh, my menu popped up. Oh, show enemy nameplates. Why was that not on? Well, we have nameplates now. So with him done, we started making our way through the next trash packs. So after the groups of ads and a cape upgrade, we finally reached our next boss. So the Electrocutioner is our first boss with any real abilities. Kinda. He's got 3. Megavolt, which blasts anyone in front of him for damage, then Shock, which is essentially the same thing as Megavolt but targets one person rather than anyone in front of him. And finally Chain Bolt, which is a lightning bolt that arcs to 3 players near him. Honestly, all these abilities are just shock you when you're the only person in the dungeon. But talking about drops, he's got a sword drop that would be a slight upgrade to what we have, and he's got a ring drop that would fill our last ring slot. So let's give him a go. So I'm thinking I can probably use this plane to break line of sight from his lightning attacks, so let's see how that goes. Yeah, I'm thinking that probably does not work. He can just walk right through the plane. So let's just hope we can face tank it. So my initial plan of breaking line of sight with the plane didn't end up working. The plane is not a solid object and he can just walk right through it. But I did come up with a backup plan during the fight. He's stunnable and interruptible. So even though his attacks do a decent amount of damage, as long as we time out our silence and our stun, we can keep him basically only doing his low damage auto attacks. Ooh, ring drop. Now we got both ring slots filled. That's pretty nice. So with him dead and a ring upgrade in hand, we do another cool parachute jump and start clearing through more trash. One thing I don't think I've noted yet are these alarm bots. They're pretty easy to kill, but if they activate and you don't kill them fast enough, they will pull every enemy in the area, so it's basically an instant wipe. So I just make sure to kill them first, and I pretty quickly make my way to the second last boss of the dungeon. So, the Crowd Pummeler was a gnomish fighting robot. Think real steel. And Thermoplug loved it so much, he stole the idea and sized it up, and now has it attack people instead of other robots. It has 3 abilities. First up is Arcing Smash, where it slashes in front of him, damaging anyone there. And fittingly, his next ability is Crowd Pummel, where he hits you, dealing some damage, but the dangerous thing is he also interrupts any spells being cast, so hopefully this doesn't hit us when we're trying to heal up. And finally, Trample, where he just damages all the players he hits in a line, so just us. Drops wise, he has a 2-hander, which would be nice if we ever wanted to try out Ret Paladin, and a plate helmet, which would be an upgrade over the one we currently have. So, let's pummel the pummeler. Oh wait, I just realized this is the boss, not a regular enemy. Oopsie doodle. So the Crowd Pummeler was another simple one, as you may have gathered from my live reaction. He was stunnable, so, you know, just DPS him down while stunning him, and he's not really much of a threat. Not gonna lie, pretty disappointing fight for a guy named the Crowd Pummeler. There we go. That was pretty simple. Well, with him down, you know what time it is. It's trash clearing time.
It's too far away.
Who's this guy? This guy's like a Mechagon model. Like, this is when was this put here? What is this guy part of like a quest chain or something? Interesting. What? This guy's in the floor. There's a floor man. I can't. Oh, we can hit him with AoE. Okay. I guess we just can't kill that guy. We got a landmine with him in the floor now, too. What? Was that the floor man? What? Where did he go? So just after that floor dwarf was our final boss of the dungeon. So the big bad of the dungeon, Thermoplug. He dreams of invading outside the halls of Gnomeregan and creating a kingdom he calls Zone 133. And he's probably the most complex boss we fought so far. So let's go over his standard attack first before the major one. Steam Blast does fire damage to his target and knocks them backwards. Pound does physical damage and disorients. This shouldn't be too bad, but it could knock us out of a heal if we're unlucky. And Welding Beam is a focused attack that does damage to us over time. Now, these seem pretty simple to deal with, but this is the first time a boss has a major mechanic, and it's called Walking Bomb. So here's how it works. All around Thermoplug's arena are bomb assemblies, and throughout the fight he will activate them, releasing a walking bomb that approaches you and explodes for minor damage. But this damage can get out of hand pretty quickly if too many assemblies are activated at once. Now, once activated, these assemblies can be deactivated by a big red button on the side. So during the fight, we'll have to make sure to travel around the arena and disable these before it gets out of control. And for drops, we're looking at a ring drop, a two-hander, and a potential shield upgrade. All these will be pretty nice, so I think this is going to be tough, but let's give it what we got. So, I was feeling really good about this fight in the beginning. He didn't do a lot of damage and neither did his bombs. But as the fight continued and more foundries got activated, things got a little more tense. They're right next to each other, and he's low. Honestly, I might just try to finish him off here while he's low. Nice. Oh my god, what a clutch divine shield. Oh my goodness, that saved my ass. Okay, all of them. Oh my god, dude. Oh my goodness, that was so close. Oh my gosh, that was a really good fight. Oh my god, and so much stuff. Worse. Worse shield, I want to say? Or no, better shield. Yeah, I'll take this shield, and it has a special effect. Awesome. That was a really close fight, and oh my goodness. And our quest. I think we have to take the pants just so we're out of cloth pants, you know? Hell yeah, dude. It's another dungeon down. And with that, another dungeon was done, and we dinged to 14. So let's go over what I used the talent point to get. So I selected Greater Judgment, which makes it so casting our Judgment ability empowers our next holy attack to deal 40% increased damage, boosting our DPS a good amount. I could even pair this with Hammer of the Righteous, the ability we got earlier, to do some real damage to enemies at 20% or lower. So, with a level, some pants upgrades, and a second dungeon done, that's where Dunstuck calls it for today. Just some quick closing words. Just want to say thank you for 14,000 subscribers. The rate of growth has been insane, and I'm constantly blown away with the level of support I'm getting. And yes, before you comment, I know my ores weren't on again. And yes, I'm going to fix that going forward. But just want to say thanks again for watching, and I will catch you in the next episode of Dungeonlocked. Thank you.